Hello, everyone, back with another episode, and this one's a little different from the others. We're Skyping in our guest, and our guest today is a cousin of mine, an actual cousin, not just saying that. Really close, as far as one of my relatives are concerned, and, consider him a brother and my best friend, and, my guest today is Michael Vigil. So, hey Mike, say hello to everyone.
Hi, everyone.
And apparently we're social distancing because
we are
3,000 or 4,000 miles away that we are may come over the internet feed. We're not sure.
That's how you get a virus.
I am worried about that because Skype does sound dirty.
It does. It does. It sounds like a rash.
It does.
It's straight from China. Speaking of rashes, what's going on that bench over there?
Well, I knew we were doing this, but you kind of caught me off guard a little early. So, I have to wear. I'm not wearing this because of any concerns of going outside or anything like that. It's just the gloves make it seem like I'm
hydro boost. Huh? Are you in there fucking hydro boosting yourself?
A little bit.
Do the gloves make it feel like a stranger?
Yeah.
It does. It feels like I'm using a prophylactic. And I have, an extra glove there, to kind of catch the kids too, so that, they don't get loose.
Yeah, you don't want your
infect
kids.
anybody else.
You definitely don't want your future children walking around the house or slithering.
Oh, good Lord, no.
Yeah. And you don't want to get any on Snoopy's face either.
Social distancing. Yeah, nope, not today.
Not today? You almost showed us your tits, man.
Well, that's going to bring you more viewers.
Yeah. So,
I don't know about that one.
So for most people, unless they're relatives, don't know who you are in our background. And obviously, we're relatives, but for most of my early childhood, I didn't really know Mike. He was living in Colorado, and I was living in Oregon. I mean, for Oregon for a little bit, and then Arizona for most of it. So I'm taking this shit off, man. It's bothering me. Hold on a second.
I am. Oh, shit. It got stuck to my face.
I'm going to get all fucking tangled up. I'm over here suffocating in that goddamn mask.
Yeah, well, these things fogging up my glasses. I can't see shit.
Yeah. So, anyway, I was growing up in Arizona, and it was pretty much after my mom passed away that I really started to get to know Mike, which was around the age of 13. And at about, when was it? 2004? 2005? Well, no, I'm skipping some time.
You're skipping a whole bunch of time.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Like almost 10 years.
Yeah, so about 96, 97, Mike was living in Arizona with his father, and I had moved in with my father for a little bit, and we started hanging out on a very regular basis and getting into all kinds of havoc.
Yeah.
And from there, it pretty much was, we were together and hanging out for a lot of the time until I moved to Oregon in 2000. And then there was about a 4 or 5 year break, and then he came to Oregon and moved in with me there. And then in about 2000, what was it, 2006? No, 2005, end of 2005. I moved to Arizona, and he stayed in Oregon for a little bit, and then eventually moved to Arizona. And we were neighbors for a little bit, and then eventually I ended up moving to New York, and he moved to California, where he's at right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Yep.
And when you were living with your dad when we were younger is actually how you met Angela.
Correct.
because she was with Darcy, who is your baby mama,
Yeah.
who used to hang out with me and my group of people.
Yeah. Well, so let's get into that so we can explain to people how Angela ended up touching my wiener.
So you want to give them the full Jerry
Yeah,
Springer?
we can give him the full Jerry Springer, you know? So,
That's right.
according to Mike's dad, we were all at his house having pot parties
On a regular basis.
on a regular basis.
Every day, apparently.
Yeah. Well,
He was never invited.
Yeah.
Which is the only reason he was upset.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, basically, what year was that? That was 2006, right? No, it was 2007.
No. What are you talking about, man?
You guys,
I mean, excuse me, 96, 97.
96.
I'm getting
97.
I'm dyslexic, man. What the fuck?
By 10, you're dyslexic by 10 years.
Shit,
the
yeah.
numbers aren't even
Yeah.
remotely the same.
Yeah, anyways.
No. 2 different decades. but
Yeah,
whatever.
so your dad was driving trucks at the time
Mhm.
and considering moving out of the area. And I was living with my dad kind of on a roommate level. I was, senior in high school, basically, or about to be a
Yeah.
senior in high school, junior.
About to be a senior.
Yeah. And pretty much during the course of that summer, we were in that transition period between Mike's father, my uncle Philip, moving out of town, and us trying to figure out what the fuck we were doing as adults or soon to be adults. So we decided smoking weed was the best decision.
It had its high points and low points,
Yeah.
but it worked.
It worked. So there was a short period of time where we were over at Mike's house and just hanging out with friends and stuff. And apparently every time we hung out was a pot party. And it was only about 75% of the time. So, I mean, would you agree with that?
I would totally agree with that. There was pot, but it wasn't all the time.
Yeah. So during one of these pot parties, I don't even remember how this incident happened. We went to go get my car because remember it just broke down and
Yes.
stopped working, and then so we ended up pushing this thing. I don't know, a mile or two. It was like a group of our friends were out there pushing it down the road, and some of them were riding on the hood of the car.
He was in the trunk.
Yeah. And we get it back to Mike's house, and ultimately we're just hanging out at the house, and that's where I met Angela and Darcy. And
Well, we saw you pushing the car down the street.
yeah, because you guys were coming towards Mike's house, right?
I don't remember where
I
we
don't
were
remember
going.
where you're going. But anyways, they ended up coming back to Mike's house. And while we were there, I was like, hey, who's that? And apparently she was too good for me back then. So I started having sex with her friend.
Yep, you got it right.
You can't have one, take the other.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you do when you're a teenager. You kind of lower your standards a bit.
Yeah, whatever. You gotta, when you're trying to do nasty things, your moral value goes right in the shitter.
Absolutely. You just take what you can get.
Yeah, so that's how Angela and I came across each other. We didn't actually start being in a relationship until much, much later. So, yeah, those times in that house were basically our entry level into hanging out quite a bit and getting to know each other on a very personal level. I mean, my brother was in the picture. It was, about a group of how many people? Probably like 8.
Probably about 7 people, 8 people. I mean, there were some that came and went, and but it was probably about that many.
Yeah, we're all high school age or barely adults, I guess you can say. Yeah, it was some pretty good times. I remember that incident that we had involving that cricket.
That's right.
Yeah,
and your brother smoked the whole thing. This tastes funny is what he kept saying, and I'm like, well, I'm sure it does.
Yeah. So,
but he enjoyed it.
During one of these said pot parties, somebody brought over some Fireball, and we were in the living room all drinking this Fireball, and my brother was in the bedroom doing something, but we were, we had smoked a bunch of weed too, and Mike and I were in the living room and smoked all the weed. And
we had to finish it off.
And I don't know if my brother bought it or what, but he didn't get any at that point, and he was asking for it. So I was like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? So I found this dead cricket on the floor and put it in the pipe and gave it to him.
Put the lid on and said, here we're all out of weed. I'm sorry we smoked it all. But here's some roaches that we gathered together.
Yeah.
And sorry.
Yeah. So that was a good time because he was like really going to town on it, opening up the lid, shuffling it around in the pipe, and
he was. And then as soon as the cockroach was gone, he moved over to coffee.
Yeah, he did. He was trying to convince us that you can smoke that shit. I remember that.
He did.
I never did that. Did you try it?
Nobody fell for it. No.
Back then, you guys were trying to get high off of anything. You were like, oh, we could smoke rose petals or potpourri or whatever. I'm like, I ain't doing that shit.
Well, that wasn't me, but that was others.
That was others?
There was others, but I did not want to partake in any kind of activity that didn't involve, weed. Yeah.
So, yeah, those were some pretty interesting times. We had an incident where we almost got arrested.
That's right.
Yeah, tell them about that, Mike.
Well, we had just left, a friend's house, and it was about, 3:00 in the morning or something like that. And, Ralph and I and Junior were homeless at the time because of Junior's grand plan.
Hold on, let me interrupt you real quick. For those that don't know, all you guys know me by Raphael. My family knows me. Oh, excuse me. My family knows me by Ralph or Ralphie. So when he says Ralph, he's talking about me.
He's Ralph.
Yeah.
So anyway, there was, we left the park and we just happened to leave just, coincidentally at the proper time. And we're walking down the street. There's a helicopter flying above with his lights on, and Ralph gets this great idea. Let's run. So we start jogging a little bit down the road. Next thing we know it, 3 cops pull around the corner.
You have to
take out their guns.
You have to tell them why I thought that was a good idea. What was happening prior to that situation? What were we doing that led to stupid ideas?
Oh, we were definitely drinking and smoking a lot of weed.
We were sitting in a circle in a grade school playground in the middle of the night with a mag light.
Yeah.
For a pipe.
That's right.
There was like about an eighth of weed inside of that mag light.
It fit in there just fine.
Yeah.
It was. It definitely did the job, which is why Ralph came up with a great idea of let's run.
Back when you still could?
Yeah, back when I still could. Now it's more of a waddle.
Yeah. Well, we were both very skinny at the time.
What the hell is that?
I have a 3-legged cat playing with the doorstop from the other side of the door.
You have to show everybody your nubby cat later.
I'll show everyone the nubby cat later. He's got problems. He hears me in here and he wants to be in here also, but
he hears your voice. I'm trying to reach under the door.
So he's trying to reach under the door for me.
He thinks you're taking a shit.
He does.
Or he's like, I know what you're doing with that lotion and those gloves.
He's like, I seen you in there with the gloves. The gloves and the mask. Let me in.
Yeah.
He needed to supervise.
Yeah.
As most cats do. They need to see what you're doing and why you're doing it. And
slide him across. He's going to slide across the floor and just stare at you. So, this incident involving the helicopter, I literally was just fucking around. And, this thing, and if you guys are not from the West Coast, helicopters fly overhead all the time, and they're always circling around. It's normal business. So, me having this idea that we could just run, I didn't think it was going to turn into what it did.
Oh, and it turned into it really quickly.
Yeah. It was like, it turned into a major situation where it was like, holy shit, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, fortunately, the person who called the police came running and said, "Those aren't the guys."
Yeah.
And then they quickly disappeared. It was over just as fast as it started.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I don't even know how many steps. It wasn't very much, man. I was lazy then too. So, I mean, I probably ran like 10 steps. And in a matter of seconds, that helicopter threw its spotlight on us, circled around. A cop car came up from the front, jumps out with his spotlight on us. He draws a gun on us. I can't even really see shit because there's so much light coming from the sky. And then his headlights and the spotlight. We just see somebody running off from our left, and he's yelling, "It's not them, they're over here." And we're standing in the street, just froze up, hands in the air, panicking, like, what in the fuck? And as quick as they came, they disappeared. And we're still standing in the street.
No longer high, thanks to Ralph. Because he killed that shit real quick.
Just totally railroaded us.
It was not it was a weird experience, but at the same time, I don't think I'd like it to happen again.
Yeah. The hell's your dog barking?
He hears me in here talking and doesn't know to who.
No. So he's barking at you? Just open the door. Open the door and let him in.
Well, that means I have to get up and move.
Well, I know you're fat too, but Jesus Christ.
Well, I don't think you understand the seriousness of having to get up. There's a lot of things at play here.
Yeah.
Remember this? If I stand up, this will be a you porn video.
Oh yeah. We definitely don't need to see your fucking dick.
So the dog's just gonna have to bark.
They'll kick me straight off of fucking YouTube for that, unless we can somehow convince them that you're breastfeeding.
It's a possibility. Sorry, the baby's down here. I have to. I suppose I could, text Carrie and tell her to, please shut the dog up.
Kill it.
Yeah. Can you please do something about the dog?
Throw it out.
Put it outside. I'm sure she has to pee.
Yeah. Do you guys even? Yeah. So, my cousin lives in like I don't know, what do you call those communities out there? It's
a manufactured home.
Yeah, manufactured home community. There's a lot of them in California because the property value is outrageous.
It's very expensive.
But do you guys have like a little fenced off area for the dog there?
No, there's an area where we could, but there's coyotes over here like crazy, and they would probably eat her.
Oh, okay. Well, things happen.
It's true. Well, there's even though we're in a very large city, there's still wildlife out here like coyotes and raccoons and possum. Oddly enough. Very weird. Yeah.
You guys don't get mountain lions
run around the
area, right? You guys don't get mountain lions down there?
Not where we're at. We're really close to the beach, so they're a little bit more inland.
Oh, okay. So I've never been to his house, so that's why I'm asking questions. I've kind of Googled it a little bit to do some cyber stalking, but that's about it.
Well, yeah. My in-laws call it a trailer park, and it's like there's no trailers here.
Yeah.
I could show you a trailer park next time we go to Phoenix because there's real trailer parks over there.
Yeah. They immediately when somebody says trailer park, they're like, "Oh, you're fucking slumming it up. Where's the meth lab?" Yeah,
they're like, "Oh yeah, they're making drugs, and there are houses on cinder bricks, and the house is gonna fall down." But
and you're like, "No, mine doesn't have any axles underneath it, and it doesn't have a trailer tongue."
It doesn't have a trailer tongue. It is pretty well stuck to the ground. It's survived an earthquake, so that pretty much means that it's
No, it's not
it's
one
safe.
of the ones that blow around in Oklahoma.
No. You know, that's how you know where there's going to be a tornado is you just plop a trailer park there and there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically, our backstory is it was a lot of, adolescent ill behavior going on back then,
Mm-hmm.
and then,
Even when you were living with Uncle Larry before you moved to your dad's house, there was times where, we never caused any trouble because we're well-behaved individuals even up to this day.
Yes.
But, those around us were not so much, and we had to call them out on it.
Like Angela.
Like
What?
Like Angela.
Yeah, and Carrie. Carrie's his wife. She's ill-behaved too.
Yeah.
That's by the way, that's her desk right behind him.
It is. She works from home, so she's got the whole setup, and I'm stuck in a corner.
What does she do? I noticed the tissues over there.
Well, I took this from her desk. I had to borrow it from her. Mm-hmm. So
she's got dual monitors just in case she gets bored. It's like two different scenes.
That's right. It's like a threesome.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great, huh? I didn't. Yeah. I got fucking 4 monitors.
Oh, look at you.
You're gonna have an orgy in here?
Yep. Hey, mind your business.
Ralph's gonna get gangbanged on his 4 monitors.
That's a gangbang porn. Oh man, it could be all interracial. It can have different heights, different hair color, maybe a midget or 2.
You're going to get tag team from both ends since there's 4.
Yeah, it may even be more than that because that's only if they're webcam people.
That's right.
Usually it's going to be at least 2 people in the video. So, I could have 8, not including myself.
Oh, that's a party.
It is.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to lay down some plastic in here.
Would you like me to send you some of these gloves?
I've got some. Mine are black though. They're bigger.
Oh.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say black gloves are bigger, and black gloves lives matter.
Black gloves matter.
Yes.
Yeah. But.
Yeah.
And as I was saying, when you were living with Larry, we had it wasn't Stevie. Who was it that was in the van with the dog?
Oh.
And
hold on, is he on Facebook?
He might be.
He's not my friend though. He did try to talk to me. So we're not going to say his name, just in case. But there was an individual that was living. Okay, so after my mom passed away, I went to go live with my uncle and my aunt and a couple of my other cousins in northern Arizona. And there was an individual that was a little bit younger than me that came to live with us too. And like I said, we're not going to blast out his name because that would be really fucked up, especially considering the context.
Considering what he does in
context of this story. So, he was a poor little redheaded stepchild kid that was really socially awkward and had some issues. Well, one day none of the parents are around. I don't know what the hell was going on, but we were looking for him.
Yeah.
And we're out in the woods, according to Arizona, which is more like bushes and abandoned vehicles. And there's vehicles all over my uncle's property. And while we're yelling for him, all of a sudden we see him pop his head out from underneath like the dashboard of one of the trucks out in the yard. And
you're like, what the hell are you doing in there?
What are you doing? And then like a second or 2 later, the dog's head pops up right underneath him. Now, I don't, to this day, know exactly what was going on in that truck.
I don't either, but I could assume
that dog probably has coronavirus.
Or some other kind of virus.
Yeah.
I don't think it was around then. I think it was more of a swine flu, but
Yeah, swine flu, or I don't know, some sort of overseas sexually transmitted disease.
Yeah.
Maybe it's from Ireland. I'm not entirely sure.
Not sure.
So
But-
yeah, that kid was he was interesting. You know, we got
He
along.
was.
We got along at times, and then there was other times I felt like grabbing him by the neck. I actually did a couple of times. I felt bad for him because he was, now as an adult in hindsight, I'm like, oh man, that kid kind of grew up pretty rough, but when I was, 14, 15 years old, I didn't really give a shit.
Yeah, those kind of things don't really cross your mind much. You're just like, why are you weird?
Yeah, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Get away from me.
We brought here to make you normal. It's not working.
Yeah.
That's probably because you two aren't normal.
What are you talking about?
She's just jealous.
Listen here, bird.
You have to speak to her in a language she understands. Tweet, tweet, tweet.
So, my cousin and I, we tend to get ourselves in trouble
Yeah.
on accident.
Like right now, why Angela is not speaking to us.
Yeah, otherwise she's not speaking to us.
So
Carrie, his wife, doesn't like it when we're hanging around because I tend to get Mike in trouble, and then Angela was like, "Hey, motherfucker, stop talking shit about me." That's kind of what we do. We just sit around and trash on everybody, and it's a good time.
it's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time. It's sort of a family trait. It's what
Absolutely.
kind of how we were raised and what we were brought up to do, and I think we do it well.
Yeah. Hey, look, we got years. I'm 42 right now, and I've been being psychologically abused since I was born.
Yeah. Same here.
So I'd have to say that we're kind of experts in the field.
Yeah.
So took a while to perfect it, but it's a good time.
It didn't take too long.
No.
I think it happened pretty quickly.
Look, I'm not going to say how things went when I was a child. I'm just going to say that for some reason or another, all the classes that I was in, regardless of the school, my class always seemed to be the bad class, and I'm not sure why.
Doesn't make any sense.
I'm not sure if it was coincidence or maybe those guys were putting me in an awkward situation, but I'm not sure.
I'm sure it was a premeditated state by the educators that came into contact with you, or
that's
immediately drawn to throw you into those classes.
I think so too. And I know some of my old classmates definitely are watching this, and maybe they can chime in the comments on Facebook and let us know why you think that was the case. Because I don't think it was just me. It could have been, but I don't think so. I think it was kind of coincidence. The universe.
Well, considering your classmates were involved,
yeah,
they might have some insight as to why they were there too.
Yeah,
might shed some light on what your problem was and has been for 40 years.
Look, the universe was guiding me from from the very beginning till now. If I didn't have all those experiences and all those, proper upbringings,
That's right.
I don't know if I'd be doing this.
Probably not.
Probably not.
You might be doing what I'm doing and using this.
I've been doing that
to pass the time.
I don't know, when did I start doing that? At least by the time I was 10. And those were hard times. Look, a 10-year-old now can get pornography on a phone. It might be their parents' phone, but they can get it on their phone. They don't understand the struggle of hoping that you get a Sears catalog in the mail.
That's right. Service merchandise.
Yeah.
that brought on a whole new meaning.
Yeah. As soon as
what you were going to do with that
when
magazine.
you found lingerie, anything that came in the mail that was junk mail, you're just flipping through it quick to find the lingerie section. You're like, oh, they're not home. I got like 30 minutes.
That's right. The bad thing was you had to hope that your parents didn't throw away the Sunday paper because there was a lot of ads in there that were very useful.
You know how sad you got when it would get thrown away? You'd be like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to go dig through the trash.
Yeah.
That was my favorite one.
It's snowing outside. I'm not going to be able to find it. It's all wet.
Yeah.
And that's not even my fault. So it makes it a little bit more depressing.
It does. It's like losing a loved one.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids nowadays don't understand the struggle.
They don't. I mean, it was like you had to be a ninja, basically. You know, nowadays everybody, it's all acceptable. You can tell people about it like we're doing right now.
Yeah. They're like, so?
Back then, they were like, you're masturbating. You're like, no, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you're like, what do you want to watch?
Yeah. You got $20. You could watch it.
Yeah. Because
we might be able to make some money off of this if we put it on the proper website.
Yeah, maybe, probably not. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking of which, Mike probably could. Probably not me, but Mike's, growing up, I don't know why. Mike used to be like super skinny. And when I mean skinny, he looked like one of his arms right now.
I did.
And so, I mean, I was pretty skinny there too. But Mike was like really skinny, borderline crackhead.
Without the crack.
Without the crack. Yeah.
Yeah.
But girls loved him. And guys too.
Everybody. They still do.
They still do.
Over time, people have gradually evolved into chubby chasers.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Angela.
So.
So, yeah, there was many scenarios where there was some people that were like, well, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be looking at me like that way when it came to Mike.
Yeah, there was a few.
We're not going to say names.
It was pretty disturbing, but
we'll get in trouble.
Let's just say you would if we said who it was or what it was about, you'd think that we were from Alabama, or Arkansas, one of those southern states.
And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
There's already enough family members that get upset at me.
Why stop now?
We don't need.
And as far as I know, they all think I'm what I really am, which is kind and wonderful and.
Oh, I thought you were going to say straight.
No,
it's
well, that too. That's fucking.
Well, they know what.
That's fucking bullshit too. Because look, I get a bad rap. Mike is worse than me, and so is Angela.
Angela, I could believe.
No, you too, motherfucker.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. There's many situations where I've had to put you in check. Many, and we just talked about one in the last episode.
I need an example.
Well, last episode when you were bad mouthing that very manly woman on the bus.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 Well, who knew it was a woman?
Yeah.
Everybody but you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the bus driver did.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
It took me a minute, but I got it.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Ralph and I were out drinking, and I believe it was right when I had just moved to Oregon. So it was October. It was raining, and Ralph lost his license somehow. So I don't know what was going on.
No, I had my license. We just didn't drive the car.
How could it couldn't have been on a car. We were on a bus.
I said that I just didn't drive the car. I had my license the whole time I was there. Right. You don't fucking remember. What are you talking about?
Okay.
I never had any license issues in Oregon. It was only in Arizona.
Anyway, besides the point. We were out drinking, and we decided, we need to go to the strip club. It was it's a very important thing to do, and we're talking about it and what we were going to do to girls. We were on the bus, this entire time. We were about 3 seats away from the bus driver, and there was only one other person on the bus, and
I was allowed to sit in the front of the bus because he was white.
that's right. No one complained except for apparently
Except
Ralph
for
wasn't the one that was
that
causing the
lady.
problem. Anyway, there was this dude sitting in front of us, and I'm talking to Ralph about these girls, and this is what we want to see, and this is what we're gonna do, and we're making this whole game plan for the titty bar.
Okay, so I got to give a little backstory because they're going to think that we're both fucking out of line, and that's not the case. The reason why we were going to this particular titty bar is because I was going to college. At that point, I was just out of college, but while I was going to college up there in Oregon, one of the classes that I was in was for HTML and web design, for those who don't know what that is. And that was back when everybody was trying to become a web designer. But I had missed my first class, and so did another individual. And that individual, come to find out, was one of the workers at said strip club. So I didn't have a choice but get to know her because we ended up having to be partners in class, and that's why we were heading to the strip club. Not necessarily for her, but that particular strip club. So it wasn't just that we're, nasty men.
So what Ralph was trying to tell you was he wanted to stalk her at work.
That's not true. Because if I could have had that, I would have had that. Because it got really fucking weird at school. But no, there was, at the time I wasn't even doing the photography stuff with the promotion company down there, was I? It was right before that.
No.
So we were trying to get into places, and when I say like not in the door, but like special treatment in places as possible. So that's why.
And if you believe that, please, comment on the video.
That's fucking
below.
True. Don't make me tell the $700 story at said strip club.
Oh yeah, well I spent a lot of money. I don't think it was quite that much.
Yes, it was.
It was pretty close. It's more like $680.
$680. in increments of 20.
Increments of 20. That was over a few days time span too, I believe, or maybe an hour.
That was definitely not 2 days time span. That was definitely, I don't know how much time during that day, but it was definitely all the same day. Because we ended up fucking walking home because because there was no more money.
There was no more money. And it was a bit of a long walk.
It was a very long walk. That was like 5 miles. Completely and utterly shit-faced.
Oh, yeah, it was horrible. We had to stop. The good thing there was a Starbucks on the way home that was open 24 hours. We needed to refuel because otherwise we would have been sleeping at said Starbucks.
Yeah, there's no buses running in Oregon that late at night. I don't even know what time they closed that place, but it was not good. Everything seemed like a good time until we had to walk home.
Yeah.
So there was a very kind young lady at this strip club. There was actually 2 of them. One of them was Russian, and I really liked the Russian one, but I didn't have $700 to give her. And the other one, I don't know. She's just your typical white girl, but very kind and took a liking to Michael. And Michael took a liking to her bank account.
I feel she needed some assistance.
Yeah. It was charity. It was charity. We're trying to do good deeds, and that's it.
Was that her name, Charity? So you're giving to charity?
I don't even remember what their names were.
That wasn't important, Angela.
Look, I forgot your fucking name as soon as you told it to me when I met you.
And then you wonder why I didn't like you at first.
That's not my fault.
It is too your fault.
No, it's not my fault. It happens all the time. You know how many people that I've got introduced to? I just got to the point of, I got to be able to talk to this girl. I got to figure out what her name is. And then I get all the way up to that, get past all the being scared of them and everything. And then they tell me their name. And in a matter of seconds, I'm like, what did they say their name was? Oh, no.
As soon as you look down and you see what else they got, you're like, what was your name?
Yeah.
Tell me that again.
It was like I would go into full-blown panic. Oh, my God. How am I going to fix this shit? I got all the way to where they're actually talking to me, and I fucking dropped the ball immediately.
And those are days before cell phones were common.
Yeah.
And so you couldn't like get their number and say, here, put your number in my phone, and then they would type in their name and all that good stuff, so you would know.
Yeah.
But
there was social media, but social media was different. It was different. It wasn't MySpace and Facebook. There was chat websites, rooms. Chat rooms, and then there was social websites, like the ones that we were using were like bangme.net, which wasn't a porn site.
It sounds like it.
It sounds like it, but it wasn't. It was kind of like
it was like a forum, so to speak.
Yeah, like a cross between like Tinder and a forum, because you'd upload your picture and you basically, like say whether or not you would bang that person or not. And it was kind of like an ego boosting type thing. I'm either going to like that picture or not. And then you'd get a rating for it. There was a couple of those types of websites. And then there was another one called like Cyber Societies. And that was more of like a forum based platform, but all of them wanted you to pay. So it was like, how can you try to put an email in your picture without them noticing it?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm not paying for this shit. I'm going to Photoshop my email on the bottom of this picture or kind of camouflage it so they can see it and I don't have to fucking pay for this bullshit. You guys, I'm telling you, you guys nowadays don't understand the struggle.
Things were hard.
Yeah, it was definitely tough.
Hard.
$10 a month. It's not happening. I wasn't giving it to them.
Yeah. We had clubs that money could have been spent at.
Yeah. It was
not for websites like Hot or Not and
that was the other one, Hot or Not. Yeah, that was. And all of them, were basically dating websites. They weren't considered dating websites. They just tried to keep your interaction with each other away unless you paid for it. Mm-hmm. And anybody that was on those websites tried to find a way around it. Most of us didn't pay for them.
Most people. It really wasn't necessary.
Yeah, that was the early days of social media, and it was rough times.
I was never on any of those.
You were on Yahoo Chat Messenger.
Barely.
Enough to hook up.
No, I never had to do that. I just go to the mall and grab some numbers. That was easy.
You hooked up with somebody that was on that. Don't lie. I know.
I'm smelling a lie.
Yeah, I am too. Yes. Yes, Mr. Canada.
That was not through Yahoo, just so you know.
Whatever. It was still a chat.
It was a regular chat room, but it
wasn't Yahoo. It was MSN. What do you...
No, it was ICQ or something. What was it?
No.
What was it?
It was called like Alum Chat or something like that.
So yeah,
she was into some weird stuff.
But it wasn't like a dating one. It was just a regular.
Yeah, well, neither were these ones.
Lie.
No, most of them weren't. They just were. They tried to make it in kind of sexual in nature, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. It was a lot like.
Well, they made it sexual in nature just to get your attention and to drag you in.
Yeah.
But it was more of
here's a bunch of picture of hot chicks.
Yeah.
So then the guys would show up there and then the girls would just show up there naturally because they're fucking nasty as hell too.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, everybody was trying to figure out how to have long distance sex with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Webcams didn't exist.
Well, they did, but I mean, it's like
It was,
like jacking off to Atari.
yeah, you know,
All pixelated and shitty.
that's right. You could just play it. You could just have like a game of Pong going on, and and get very excited. It looked exactly the same.
It was like back in the day when you would get the squiggly porn channel, and you would like try to sit there and move the antenna around just so you could see if that was a nipple that you just saw.
Yes. Sometimes it would come in real clear, but it would go away really quickly. But
yeah, so you just had to have your pants down and be ready, just in case.
Those 3 seconds. Those 3 seconds were precious.
Oh yeah, those were like caveman days. People are gonna get used to it because society's changing right now. We're gonna get back to some rough masturbating times. I'll tell you what.
We are. Things are going to change. There's going to be a baby boom, quite possibly a spike in divorces.
a spike in CPS calls.
A spike in CPS calls. The population of homeless children is going to go skyrocket. Yeah. Things are, those are just the bad things.
Yeah, those are the bad things. Well, maybe.
One can dream.
Yeah. So yeah, those websites were pretty interesting and stuff. I mean, I don't know how much pussy I got from those websites. It was quite a bit. You really got to see how low people's standards were, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, you really did. And, nowadays, I guess it's...
Why are you shaking your head at me?
It must be low.
Why are you shaking your head at me, Mrs. Low Standards?
Well, that took a while, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
She had to work her way into it.
Yeah, see...
Her standards were high, but then...
They really weren't high. They were confused, I guess you can say. Because her standards are better. She just doesn't realize they were better.
Yeah.
You fucking giggle all you want. You've moved.
She does now. She's
you've
like, wow, I
moved
really
up in the
lowered
world.
myself.
No, you just rose to my expectations. That's all.
Rose? Mm-hmm. That was an erection. I had that back then too.
That's not what I meant.
Liar.
No.
I think she's lying. What do you think, Mike?
Oh, I think so. I think she was what she means by rose to the she's not really talking about your erection. She's talking about when you lifted your stomach up so she could see.
I didn't have a stomach.
You did when you finally, she was finally coerced into, going out with you the first time.
That's a fucking lie. I've got pictures. I didn't get pregnant until after we got together.
That's a lie.
No, it's not. I've got pictures. I've got plenty of pictures. I was slender.
Really sure
I wasn't skinny, but I wasn't pregnant.
You can't Photoshop, dates in the past on these pictures just to make yourself look like you're right.
Was I super fat when we met? Or not when we met, when we finally started doing nasty shit?
No.
See, told you.
Chubby chasers don't see that kind of stuff.
I was just thick. I wasn't fat. I didn't have a gut. I wasn't like anorexic anymore, though.
You were fat.
I could totally see my dick without sucking in my stomach.
That's when you were able to bend forward without tipping over.
without fucking hyperventilating. Without needing one of those respirators they're trying to find.
Right. Yeah.
So
I understand the struggle. I
Yeah.
was once.
you understand the struggle right now because you're fat as fuck.
Yeah.
So the other day, I'm looking through his pictures that his mom was posting on Facebook, and this fucking guy had a sponsorship on his shirt for a snack called Cheez-Its. He got so fat that Cheez-Its came to him and were like, they thought he was a NASCAR. You know,
They knew I wasn't
I'm
fat.
actually bigger than him, so I'm a little jealous because I like Cheez-Its. But I think it's a racial thing, to be honest with you. I think they're like, we
Give
can't.
the cracker sponsorship to
Yeah.
the cracker. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. We can't be giving cracker sponsorships to the Hispanic guy. We got to give it to the white one.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if
Well-
there's cheese on them or not.
Well, that's good. That means you can go out and look for a sponsorship for maybe Golden Grams or something like that. You know,
I don't like those though.
doesn't matter.
Maybe Chex Mix.
Maybe.
or Chex Mix or Cinnabon or something.
Yeah, Cinnabon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that company even exist anymore?
Yes.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, just goes to show you how long it's been since I've been to a mall.
You should get out of the house.
I can't. We're in quarantine.
Yeah, no. It's over.
We just get to look out the window.
Yeah.
We're fucking almost out of snacks too. We've only been in quarantine for a day and a half.
Oh man, that's horrible. That's horrible.
Angela's sitting there yesterday. She's, oh, we need to get some ice cream. And I'm like, fuck, man, we are almost out of snacks.
That's tragic.
It is. I mean, we got
That's-
plenty of regular food, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but you have to cook it, and
I'm going to start
that
losing
take
weight.
times in preparation.
Yeah, I know.
You can't watch a movie and fillet a steak at the same time.
Yes, I can. I've done it.
It's not as enjoyable as a bag of Fritos or some Cheez-Its.
I beg to differ. You just have to make more than one mistake.
Well, just it's an excuse to play with some kind of meat while you're watching TV.
Hey, whatever. My meat, the cow's meat.
Meat is meat.
When people are over at the house, sometimes you got to play with somebody else's meat.
Maybe a guest over. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So tell your story. Let people understand why you're white and I'm not.
Well, it's pretty cut and dry. Your dad is Cuban. My dad is not.
Well, your dad is also my mother's brother.
Yeah, that's right. And, your mom and my dad are siblings. They are very confused on, that side of the family is very confused on what nationality they may or may not be. So we're Spanish, which is European. I think Grandma kind of muddled the waters there a little bit with, her ethnic background because
Native
she wasn't
American
Spanish.
side, yeah.
So, and then my mom, her family's originally from Finland, but recently I found out that that's it's mostly from Finland, but other parts of Europe, which are, of course, white. So that's how I got this, very sexy white complexion.
What?
It only looks good on me.
Fuck ever. You look like the State Puft Marshmallow Man.
Michelin Man.
You and Snoopy look like fucking twins.
Yeah, well,
All fat and lazy.
Yet still loved by all.
Yeah,
So-
whatever.
you know, and
I don't think either one of you are wearing pants either.
I might be. I was
Yeah.
able to pull them up, you know, throughout the program here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why there's a big color difference between Ralph and I, is because you know, the opposite sides of the family are, you know,
Are very contrasting in complexion.
exactly.
My dad's I'm not gonna say that because I'll get in a lot of trouble. I want to say it so bad. I'll totally get kicked off of YouTube. Oh boy.
Well,
basically,
you know, if he figures out how to use the internet, you might really be in trouble. But he hangs around people that do.
He's an inner tube pirate. and Mike's mother's family is probably a Viking or something along
of some sort.
The very whitest of the white.
They're very white. They're from Finland, where the sun comes out maybe, you know, 6 hours of the day, if they're lucky.
Yeah, they're like vampires.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then, like you said, my mom and his dad are brother and sister, and you know, the Vigil name, which you know is my mother's maiden name, comes from Spain, but there's a heavy Native American connection there because even the Vigils were raping and pillaging their way through New Mexico and southern Colorado. So there's Spanish or there's Native American on that side, plus then my grandmother, which is an Espinosa, she's very, very heavily Native American. I'm sure she's got some Spanish in her too, because that's where the name comes from. But yeah, very much a Native American.
Yeah, and it was you know, and you know, the Vigil people have been here since the beginning, since the Spanish first, you know, decided to come and invade the Mayan and Aztec people,
and in that area, it was actually Navajo and Cherokee. I'm not. There was some other small tribes too, but mostly it was Navajo and Cherokee. We don't even actually know what tribe we are.
No,
the history's been totally wiped out.
Yeah, quite a big mystery, but
yeah. So that's why he looks like he looks, and that's why I look like what I look.
Yeah,
he took a lot of his pale complexity from his mother, and I took a lot of my I won't say it. I won't say it because as much as I want to say it, it doesn't matter if I'm talking about myself or my dad's family. I swear to God, they will kick me off of YouTube if I say it. You don't have no idea how bad I want to say it too.
Say it. It ain't worth the risk.
It's not.
No one's gonna be able to see this if you say it.
Yeah. It'll be like that video I made of Angela yesterday. That Facebook and Instagram are flagging it for copyright infringement, but I thought it was awesome.
Well, I did see it before it was pulled away.
Yeah. I don't even know how
fit the scenario.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are even able to watch that because it's still on Instagram, but it was flagged as copyright infringement. But I can go on there and click on it right now and I can see it. So I'm not sure who it's blocking it from or how that's working on the Instagram side.
Well, I thought Facebook and Instagram were owned by the same conglomerate.
They are, but it's still different. They're trying to merge them together in some form or fashion because Facebook I know they would like it to become one entity, but they'll run people off of Instagram doing that. So that's why every day it seems like there's a little bit closer connection between the two and things are just kind of merging together. But they are still separate even though they're owned by the same company.
Yeah.
So, when in terms of dealing with copyright issues, Facebook is definitely more stern than Instagram. There's a little bit of a delay on them catching you on shit.
Yeah.
YouTube is like pinnacle You post anything on YouTube that's copywritten and it's getting flagged
gone.
before it even goes public.
Yeah.
So Facebook took about a day for it to happen, and Instagram took about 2 days for it to happen.
Mhm.
So, and then, like I said, it's still there on Instagram. I can click on it. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can. And I saw an email saying that there was like specific areas that it was still visible in. So I'm not sure who's able to see it. Guess it depends on your IP address. Geek
Maybe.
shit.
You got to be censored, man.
Yeah. And I'm like, there should be provisions for comedy.
Well, you would think.
Yeah. I know there's provisions in there.
Comedy is one of those things that, it should be able to cross all, formats, and
Yes.
but apparently
not.
not.
I know there's provisions in there for media to use stuff that's copywritten under certain circumstances. And there should be stuff for comedy as well. Because that's, comedy makes the world go round when it's shitty like it is right now.
Absolutely. Well, you have a lot of musician family members that could probably put something together for you that would match the video. That would.
No, it had to be that song. It had to be that song. It absolutely had to be that song. It was fucking awesome. I thought it was.
Yeah.
It
did look like Angela was a lost puppy.
It did.
And they were the birds were outside flying, but yet she was stuck in the cage.
Like, quiet again.
I was like, don't be jealous because I'm a celebrity and you're not.
Oh, I am after this.
Yeah. After this, people are gonna send him dick pictures like no tomorrow. Please, if you guys are watching this, flood his fucking Facebook Messenger with dick pictures.
Don't send me a fucking thing.
Look, last night I was talking to him and I asked him for his work email address so I can send him a picture of my asshole. And he told me not to do it. And
I'm pretty sure that's not how the conversation went.
Yes, he told me not to do it and then proceeded to send me his email address. So for me, this is like somebody telling me, no, just the head. That's the way it sounded like.
I don't think you know how to read.
Yeah. Did you not?
That's really not how it went down.
Did you not send me your email address?
Oh, I did.
And the only reason
I don't want you to send me any, then you're like, well, what does that have to do with anything? I was like, okay, well, I'll send you my email address. Well, maybe you're going to send me something other than, but then you're...
Look, I only wanted your email address to send you a picture of my asshole to your work.
Well, it's going to go to spam anyway, so it doesn't matter.
No, it won't.
What the fuck is this? Even my IT department is going to be like, no.
So he works at a dermatologist's office. And I figured what better thing to do than to send him pictures of my asshole and say, can you fix this?
I will forward it on to the plastic surgeon. Say we got a problem.
Yeah.
It's a big problem and I don't know if you can handle it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an asshole, a balloon knot, or a well.
Yeah. Whose baby is that?
Yeah. So maybe we should send it to a contractor to get it filled. I don't know.
I did take a really big shit the other day. It was impressive. It looked, you know that trash heap that floats out in the ocean?
Oh yeah.
That's what it looked like.
Oh.
It was just floating around. I tried to flush it. It was like
plastic bottles.
I tried to
garbage bags.
I tried to flush it, and it was like trying to flush a flying saucer down a drain.
Yeah,
it just goes down like this and just kind of rested on the side of the bowl while the water disappeared, and then the water came back up and it floated back up to the top. I'm quite sure that's a situation that requires medical assistance.
Like I said, I will send it to a plastic surgeon. Reconstructive surgery.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing to this thing, but
all elective surgeries are suspended until further notice.
that's right. Yeah, it might be medically necessary.
I
if you
just
start
need-
shitting your pants.
I just need internet consultation.
Telesis.
So, we can get back to our story. So after Oregon,
Yeah, that went way off.
yeah, we'll evacuate the butthole conversation and go back to Oregon. It
Yeah.
kind of goes hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
They're both pretty shitty situations.
They really are. If you live there, I'm sorry, but
Yeah, I know some of you guys that are listening live there because you're our family. But that place fucking sucks.
yeah, you just don't want to admit it.
It's a very
Yet.
pretty state when you don't live there, and then other than that, it's not good.
It's like a painting, it looks really nice, from a distance, and then
Until
the
somebody-
closer and the more in it you get, the you really start to see the streaks and the and the paint spills.
Streaks. You really start to see
The
the,
artist really fucked
you
up.
really start to see the streaks in the underwear.
Yeah. Once you get inside.
So what did you think about Oregon when we went there a couple of years ago, Angela?
It was okay.
Switch that camera.
Shut up. It was okay. I mean, the streets were hard to get down because there was like a jungle. There's way too many fucking plants everywhere. But other than that, it was okay.
Yeah, it was. Look, I hadn't gone back to Oregon since I left there in 2005, and we went back. It was like 2 years ago. So what was that? 18? No, 17. I don't know. 2 years ago we were
No,
over
18.
18.
there.
Would be
18.
20 minus 2 is 18.
About a year and a half ago, something like that. I don't know. I'm not very good at math right now.
Right now.
So we went back there, and look, marijuana has made that city grow to a level that is absurd as far as population is concerned. But the infrastructure has not grown with it at all, not even a little bit. The freeway systems get so congested that it could take you hours to drive what would normally be a 10, 15-minute drive. And you try to go down the residential streets, and because of all the people that like to have gardens and shit like that and not maintain their trees and just let everything grow naturally, you can't see road signs. There's fucking garden planters between the sidewalk and the street and the little strip of grass. There's just vegetation everywhere. And it's just like, wow, this is a little overwhelming. It's like driving through literally a rainforest that is disguised as a city.
There's a lot of hippies and whatnot in Portland also, so it's going to help attribute to the overgrowth of shrubbery.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with all the growing stuff. It's just you got to
Trim it, take care of it.
You got to know when it's a little bit overboard. When you got a 4-way stop and you can't see any of the stop signs.
Yeah, that's a problem.
After the second or third car accident, you should probably be like, look, maybe we should trim those trees back. So yeah, and then they got real narrow streets on top of it for the residential street. So it's just you throw a bunch of vegetation in the mix and a bunch of cars parked on the side of the road, and it's not an easy city to get around anymore. It's pretty rough.
I haven't been there since I moved out in I don't know when it was, 2006, 2007.
2000, how long did you ended up moving out in 2006, I think.
I think it was too. But I haven't been back since.
Yeah. It's probably, well, you need to go back to visit family, but other than that.
Other than that, yeah, other than, if I didn't have any family over there, I would probably never go back.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I would never go back there if I didn't have family there. And yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about Arizona too, though.
Yeah, me too. We go there. Well, we haven't been there since July, and California saved us with an earthquake, so we had to make sure that the cats are still okay.
You had an excuse to get the hell out of there.
We had an excuse to leave, and because the other excuses of these people are kind of annoying, other than the friends we were with, but some other people there were very annoying, and the fact that it was 110 degrees and we haven't lived in that type of weather in 5 years.
Yeah.
Was horrible.
Yeah.
So California started to shake, and our neighbors let us know, so we were like, gotta go.
Peace out. Well,
gotta go.
During that trip to Oregon, we had to stop in Arizona, and I was done there after day one. I mean, how did you feel, Angela?
I honestly didn't mind. Other than
You're a liar.
I didn't. I really liked that it was warm. I miss the warmth and being able to wear shorts and tank tops, and I just didn't like that it was a lot busier than it was when we left. But other than that, I liked being
We
there.
were down there for not so good reasons, and she likes to conveniently forget about how much that sucked because she's here in New York and we're stuck in the house and we're just getting out of winter.
It's supposed to snow probably later this week, and it's almost April, so this really sucks.
Whatever. The point is that when we were down there after day 2, you were like, yeah, I'm ready to get out of here.
Well, for other reasons.
Yeah, but still. It's all of it.
No.
She just misses warm weather because she's cold.
Yeah.
I'm always cold.
Well, birds migrate.
Aren't fat people supposed to hibernate?
I do.
No.
I absolutely do. I was doing that this morning.
Well, see, that's why I moved out of Arizona and moved to Southern California, because I don't like the cold. I'm like Angela. I get cold and I don't like it, and I don't like excessive heat, because when I am too fat to live in a desert, and
yeah, when
it just makes you that much hotter.
What is this business about when you're too fat?
No, because I'm too fat.
Oh, I was going to say, because you've been fat for a long time. This isn't a when situation.
I've been fat for about 10 years now.
It's not stopping anytime soon.
It's been more than 10 years, but I've noticed that your cheeks are swallowing your eyes.
A little bit. That's why I wear glasses now, because I don't want...
You trying to hold your cheeks down?
Push them this way.
Your face is starting to look like foreskin.
Well, the fatter I get, the tighter it gets.
The turtleneck is just covering up your eyes slowly but surely.
So I'm looking through a telescope.
You're gonna be a cyclops.
Yeah, what do you say? Yeah.
Eventually, you're gonna come on this podcast and you're gonna look like a snork.
I am. A little minion.
Yeah. I don't even remember what the fuck we were talking about.
I don't either.
Oh yeah, we were talking about why you look different than me and your upbringing. So tell us how you ended out in Arizona.
Which time?
The main time.
The first time?
Yeah.
Well, so my dad, my mom and dad had just separated. Mm-hmm. And, and I was ready to move, because I've always been, the kind of person that needs to move around because, we traveled a lot when I was growing up and, and I wanted to do something different. So my dad ended up getting a job where he was going to build a gas refinery just outside of Phoenix in El Mirage. And so that's when I originally moved to Phoenix.
That's right. I do remember that because I went to actually one of his office and stuff when he was dealing with that. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was before the pot parties. Well,
that's how the pot parties got started.
You may have started having pot parties before that, but I hadn't.
Yeah. And so
now, after you left Arizona, you went back to Colorado, correct? Right?
I went back to Colorado.
And then what were you doing at that point?
So when I moved back to Colorado, I didn't have anything to do. It was very different for me because it was when you move, when you live someplace and you leave for a good amount of years and you go back, that place is not the same. Everything changes. The some of the people are the same, but everything around you is different. And, the friends that you had moved on and, done other things. And it was very hard to reconnect. And, you're older. So I ended up getting a job with a company outside of Denver. And we sold just a bunch of different shit at trade shows. I was like one of the pitchmen. I was like, what's his bucket on the TV at 3:00 in the morning trying to sell you some garbage.
Yeah, rotisseries. So what he's talking about is these guys are selling rotisseries and other bullshit, QVC stuff.
QVC type stuff. And so, I traveled around the country and I did that for 8 years, going from city to city and doing that stuff, and which I really enjoyed. It was all on a commission based thing. So I made a lot of money. I was able to sell shit.
Didn't have a lot of overhead because he was traveling.
Didn't have any overhead because I was traveling. I had rent to pay at home, which wasn't very much because I lived with my brother and a few friends in this great big house, and so rent was very cheap. So and I was able to travel around the country and do it. See things that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to see, and got paid for it at the same time.
Yeah.
And that was until Ralph was like, hey, you should come move to Oregon and, help me build websites. And as soon as I moved to Oregon, I wasn't building websites. It was trouble.
Yeah. Well, we evolved, but it ended up being trouble.
It ended up being trouble.
There was definitely some good times there, and a lot of good times actually, but the trouble definitely outweighed the good times. Yeah, you there? You froze up. Well, I think we lost him, so we'll try to get him back, and we'll see what happens there. I kind of hear him. Are you back now? I see you again.
I'm back.
Okay. Well,
I see you now.
Okay. You got to upgrade your fucking shitty internet. It actually may be my internet because the Spectrum company out here is fucking dog shit. That's why I don't do live streams because it buffers and gets all crazy and
Yeah, that's what we got here too. Is Spectrum, and we can't blame it on weather because it's it's actually a really nice day outside today.
Yeah, I'm not happy with their service at all. Hopefully at some point we'll get FiOS out here and we can have a stable, fast internet connection. But
out in the boons.
Yep, out in the boons.
Yep.
So yeah, you went around, you did a bunch of traveling and stuff, ended out in Oregon. We started.
Yeah, I was coerced to move to Oregon, and for the most part, it was a really good time because I got to hang out with you and the rest of the family, and that's when I really got to know Donna and Ia and all them, and they became quickly, family as well. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, it is overall a very good experience.
So Donna and Ia is family on my father's side, which Mike, up until that point, never knew. He never even knew of them, much less knew them.
Mhm.
So really good people. Favorites.
Very good people.
Favorites, and definitely an awesome time hanging around them.
Yeah. Even though there's many times we were getting yelled at and
Kicked out of the house.
kicked out of the house.
Look, my Aunt
Told
Donna,
on
she's
many
probably not
occasions.
going to listen to this because she's too good to listen to my podcasts. Tries to pretend like she doesn't know how to use social media so she doesn't have to watch it.
Yeah.
But there was a number of times during this time period that she would invite us over to the house, feed us liquor, knowing how things were going to end out, get us all riled up until we said something completely and utterly inappropriate, and then she would send us home intoxicated.
Yeah.
Like, there was this one story I remember vividly. We were all sitting in the living room watching movies, and Donna proceeded to bring this story up, knowing that it wasn't going to end out well.
Yeah.
It was a story about one of her coworkers masturbating inside of the tanning booth. So I don't remember how this all played out exactly, but I do remember Mike mentioning something about how did she clean up, and was it with a sock?
Yeah.
And then I kind of mentioned that she was going to get athlete's pussy. And then Mike follows it up with it gives new meaning to a soccer mom.
Yeah.
And then my aunt turns around and says, "You guys need to go home."
Yeah.
Right now.
You guys need to get the fuck out of my house. That's what she said. You guys have crossed the line. That's what she said.
So next thing you know, we're on the bus again, riding fucking back home.
Yeah, completely confused as to why we got kicked out. What just happened?
Yeah. So
Why did she invite us over to kick us out?
It was
what kind of cruel game is this?
It was a total setup moment. That was actually one of the first times she kicked us out. And then we noticed that when she would have get-togethers and she would have her friends over at the house, that she would invite us over and then start handing us shots and other things, giving Mike wine, which he can't drink wine because he gets totally out of hand.
Only certain kind of wine. It was only the wine that Donna gave because she liked white wine.
Whatever. It's all wine. That's the
I
only
drink red wine.
That's the only time I've seen you throwing up someplace. You drink wine, you get real shitty.
Oh, yeah, it's good, man. You can drink a lot of it.
But yeah, she would give us all this liquor, knowing that her friends were there and knowing that this was going to turn into a bad situation as far as the things that came out of our mouth. And she would do it on purpose because it was fun. And then she would kick us out. Every single time, like clockwork.
Every time. Every time. She knew what she was getting herself into.
She wanted it to happen.
She wanted it to happen.
It's kind of
I don't think it was ever her intention to kick us out, but I think we embarrassed her enough where she's like, oh,
I think she wanted to kick us out. I think it was like a game. Here.
It might have been, or she had, short-term memory loss and she forgot how things actually were. And then when it happened, she's like, oh, fuck, now I remember.
Look, that's bullshit because she's married to my uncle and he doesn't know how to fucking behave at all.
Oh, he's worse than all of us.
Not even a little bit. So she knows about misbehavior and she liked it and thought it was funny and it was kind of part of the game. She knew where things going, where they were going to escalate to.
It's a mystery. I still think it's a mystery. She wants us to all go out to South Carolina and embarrass her there too. So
you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about that. And I was like, there's no fucking way on the planet that I'm going to be able to not say something inappropriate. It's in my DNA.
Yeah.
You know, it's my dad's fault and my mom's fault.
That's right.
And all my relatives that don't know how to behave either.
Yeah.
Ranging from my Uncle Larry to my Uncle Leo to even your dad.
My dad.
Your dad,
even though he doesn't want to admit it.
Your dad tries to pretend like he doesn't misbehave, and then you'll see him say something.
Then he was completely out of hand.
Yeah. And it just so happens that my dad's side, because they're from Cuba, that their filters are non-existent. So it's like, it's genetics, you know, it's gonna spill out. And then Donna invited us to South Carolina with her family, which, from my understanding, is very religious and proper. And well,
Southern charm and hospitality, and
then she's bringing she's bringing the fire bomb to the party.
Yeah. He wants to bring gas to the fire.
Yeah. So, I think for her sake, this coronavirus and this whole shutdown thing is probably in her favor, because
blessing in disguise.
Yeah, I don't know how long this is going to last, but all my vacation days and shit were probably going to get all eaten up. So at this point, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to go down there, but if I can, I don't know. I guess the universe is trying to protect Donna. That's all I'm going to say about that. Maybe this wasn't a good idea. And, the other thing that I was thinking about is, Donna's kids, my cousins, Roni and Sean, were also in part of this deal, and they don't know how to behave either.
No.
Yeah, so you get 4 of us together in that scenario, and things are not going well. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm-mm. I haven't met these poor people yet.
Because well, I met a few of them because I went to Lexington down there, and they're nice. They're all nice people. But like I said, that Southern hospitality is there, and you start mixing a little bit of liquor and into my bad behavior, and what little filter was there is not there anymore.
It goes away really quickly.
And for anybody that knows me, I'm not drunk right now, and there's not much of a filter.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Except for the one
there's some alcohol
except for the one that keeps me from getting kicked off of YouTube. That would probably completely go away.
Yeah. Which is why you're not allowed to drink on your podcast.
That's not
Angela,
true.
good job keeping them in control.
That is not true at all. I just haven't done it yet.
Yet.
If you came up here instead of doing the Skype thing, there might be an incident that involves demonetization.
Your YouTube account is suspended for
I may have to start a new YouTube channel and a few more Facebook pages.
It'll have to be totally under Angela's name because they're going to filter everything.
Look, I got a lot of email addresses. That's not a problem. It's just getting people to start following me again. Yeah, or the backlash from people that are like, I can't believe you fucking said that.
You just lost a bunch of subscribers.
So during our time in Oregon, we had a mutual friend hanging around. It was a mutual female friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you tell the story about fantasizing?
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, we were talking about, fantasies and, things like that. And
that's not how it went down.
That's not really how it went down. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. Yeah, we were talking about stuff like that, and the subject came up, and Ralph looks over to her and says, "Hey, Mike's been fantasizing about you," and this little glow in her eye got a little brighter, and she was very happy, and she's like, "Really? What was it about? What was it about?" And I was like, "Well, it's I don't know if I should tell you this, but here it goes. It was just it was you and I in the kitchen, and
That's not how it went.
and you were doing the dishes.
That's not how it went down. It was much more abrupt and just shit all over her.
I'm pretty sure that's how it went.
No, how it went was she had a crush on Mike, or it appeared that she did. So I decided I was just going to throw them under the bus so that they could just start having nasty time together. And I was like, Mike fantasizes about you. And Mike got caught off guard because he didn't expect me to say that. And she lit up like a fucking Christmas tree. And Mike says, I fantasize about you washing the dishes. That's how it went down. Because I
pretty much told the same story.
No, one was much more polite, and the other one was, oh shit, what do I say? And your first reaction was to say something fucked up.
It didn't really help anything.
That's usually where our encounters happen in public, is that one of us will back the other one into a corner where we don't have a choice but to say something inappropriate.
And by then it's too late.
There was a number of times when we were inside grocery stores and stuff in Oregon where people would just look at us and like, should we call the police?
What the hell's happening here?
Yeah. Because we're over here, shut up, you stupid motherfucker. Talking crazy to each other, and they're just looking at us like, oh no, this poor little skinny kid's gonna get beat up. They didn't have no idea that that's just how we interact and behave.
Yeah. I'm surprised we never got kicked out of anywhere other than Donna's house.
No, we did. Well, you did, and I just happened to get kicked out with you.
Where was that at? Oh, no, that wasn't me.
No, that was a different club. I'm talking about the one that we went to where you got mad at the waitress.
Oh, yeah, that bitch. I remember that.
So we were at it wasn't really a club. It was more like a bar.
And then she's like, get out.
Yeah. Mike got offended because he tipped her $20 because he thought she was cute.
No, it was an accident.
You're fucking.
I thought I gave her less than that, but then I looked in my wallet, it was more, and I was like, this bitch just got me for $20.
Yeah, so maybe the truth is finally coming out of my I don't even remember what she said, but next thing I know, Mike's fucking getting all irate with her. And we're fucking kicked out. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
That was the first incident that we got kicked out of a place. And then there was the other incident that it wasn't either one of us. Well,
Yeah,
no, it was kind of you to start with, and then it ended up being another cousin that got us kicked out.
Yeah.
So
well, here's the thing. In Oregon, people are they're racist, but they don't want to admit that they're racist.
Correct.
And so we were going to go, gather at this club for another one of our cousins' birthday.
No, it was Junior's. Junior's and
mine, Junior's, and Lucia's birthday all come in a row.
correct. Yeah, it was the three of my cousins, him, or my brother's not my cousin, but it was the three of them. We were doing like a happy birthday gathering of family at this particular club.
Yeah, and Ralph and I got there first, and apparently the bartender didn't really like the fact that I was bringing brown people into this club.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Oh, it was so fucking bad.
Very upset.
So this is kind of how it went down. We sit down at the bar because we're just waiting for our family members to show up, and the place is there's not a lot of people in there. We got there way early because we were riding a bus. So we get inside this place and we sit down at the bar and we order our drinks, And I think the initial lady was okay with us, right?
Yeah, the initial bartender was very good with us. She was happy.
But we're waiting, we get our first drinks and then we order another drink and we're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. But it was with that guy.
Mm.
And he fucking flung that ashtray at you when you asked him for the ashtray. And that was the beginning of a bad night.
Yeah, that's when it all started.
Yeah, he just kind of tossed it at him like, fuck you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we're both like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, because we didn't want to get kicked out of there immediately, because our family's not there yet, then, there's this group of people that kind of congregated directly behind us while we're at the bar. So, and it involved a couple of, how many? There was like 3 girls, right? And 2 guys.
3 girls.
3 girls and 2 guys. And the odd girl out is kind of looking around because she knows she's the odd one out. And I'm paying attention to this because that's what I do when I go out into public like that. I'm just pay attention to all my surroundings. And I'm telling Mike in his ear, this bitch is getting ready to talk to you. And sure enough, she starts talking to him. So she's in one ear and I'm in his other ear. And I'm like, tell that bitch to get the fuck out of here. She's trying to get him to buy her a drink. And I'm like, tell that bitch to get out of here. I saw how that went down. I know what she's up to. Mike's like, fuck it. I don't care. I'm going to get laid. So they're having a conversation while I'm in his other ear telling him, tell that bitch to kick rocks. So Mike tells him that he's new in town and that he's working for me. And that woman turns and looks around Mike at me and says, well, he should be buying both of us drinks. And I was like, well, you should be getting the fuck out of here. So that was the beginning of the shitty night and the bartender being shitty towards us. And then we kind of went about our business because the family showed up at that point. And then,
well, that's when the girl left because I told her, oh yeah, when I said, I come here and I work for him, he's also my cousin. She didn't believe that.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the family came in and she's seen that they were all brown.
Yeah. And then she was like, peace out.
She disappeared. She was like, she was gone. She was like, oh, okay. So.
Yeah. She thought we were lying or whatever. I don't know. But the family showed up right as that was kind of going down. And then she bounced because she realized, oh no, they are ethnic.
Yeah. What am I can't get into this. Yeah. And then she disappeared.
So she disappeared, and then, we're hanging out as a family, as a collective, and, I don't know, we both weren't at the table at the time. I don't know where you were, but I was out there I think I was with Gladdy on the dance floor, and then next thing you know, I think it was you that walked up to me, or one of the other family members were like, we got to go, we just got kicked out.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it wasn't me.
And I'm like, what do you mean we got kicked out? I didn't do anything.
Yeah. I know. I was very shocking when they said we got to go.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second. We've just been sitting here.
Yeah. I'm like, I wasn't even at the table. What the fuck are you talking about? I got kicked out. So I go back to the table because they're telling me there was an incident between one of our cousins, male cousins, and this group of guys that were sitting in the booth next to us. So I go back over there because I'm trying to sort through this. And at that time, I was already doing that kind of club stuff with the photography shit. So I was like, well, let me just try to make sense of this, see if we can squash this so this is not an issue. So I'm starting to talk to the group of guys, and they're like, nah, man, there's not an issue. And they were kind of explaining what had happened and how one of the guys at the bar, got involved in it and really kind of escalated something that wasn't a big issue at all. Next thing I know, the bouncer comes up and just shoves me back away from those guys while I'm talking to him. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, dude, don't fucking put your hands on me. We're not aggressive. We're having a normal conversation. Nobody's yelling at each other. Nobody's huffing and puffing. Even the guys at the table are like, what the fuck, man? Because they're like, that wasn't necessary at all. And they're like, you guys need to leave. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm just trying to talk to them to see what happened, to see if we could just sort it out. And it doesn't sound like it was a big issue.
Yeah, there was never actually an issue. There was nothing Nothing ever happened.
Yeah. So next thing
It's
you know,
just that
he's
the
trying.
bartender that threw the ashtray at me just really didn't want us in there.
Yeah. So next thing you know, we're getting forced out of there, and I'm having to tell this bouncer that if he puts his fucking hands on me again, I'm going to beat the brakes off of him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the second time we got kicked out of a place that wasn't Donna's house. And then I think there was at least one other incident. Was there?
Well, there was, but this was later in Phoenix, and we were kicked out by Carrie, who is now my lovely wife.
That's true. Carrie's done a lot of kicking us out of fucking places and making us separate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was that, Angela?
What?
We were at that bar it was like a birthday thing for you and Liz or something.
No, not me and Liz. It was probably for Liz and Carrie because their birthdays are like 2 days apart.
I don't remember. We were at this fucking bar. We've never been there before.
Mm-mm.
And the girls are all on the dance floor dancing, and Mike's supposed to be behaving. And just,
is that the wall of shot glasses?
Yeah. Mike's
Yes, I was
supposed,
told specifically not to drink tequila. And
so when they went on the dance floor, and the waitress came to the table, I was like, hey, can you get us some shots of tequila?
and we need more than one. Because they're going to come back. So we need to do this quickly.
So by the time they came back to the table, we had a pyramid of shot glasses behind hiding behind the little display things that they have on the table. And Carrie saw it.
You got busted.
Carrie saw it, and then I don't think we lasted another half hour before we had to go.
We had to leave.
She instantly got mad at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It happened real quick.
Yeah. So that sucked.
We have to go.
Yeah. It was definitely not going to go anywhere productive, but it was going to be a lot of fun.
It was. Yeah, that came to an end very quickly.
So if you guys haven't caught on, we have the tendency to fucking poke the bear when we get around each other.
Yeah.
and see who's going to be the first one to say something completely fucked up.
That's right. We try not to say anything that's fucked up. It just kind of happens.
That's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, well,
we do try. We just try to be polite about it while we're doing it.
Yeah. Well, if you got to say it with a smile.
Yeah.
That's how, as to not offend anybody, right away.
So I'm not going to get into the exact circumstances. We were in northern Arizona because it kind of is depressing. But there was a situation where Mike and I and the family were all together at my uncle's house in northern Arizona, and there was a little bit of a pot party that took place in a camping trailer out in the yard. And then there was a little bit of wild turkey involved in this pot party.
Yeah.
And then there was an individual that we won't mention her name decided it would be a good idea to hang around us during said pot party and wild turkey moment. And Mike and I aren't really big fans of said individual. But for some reason or another, she likes to hang around our vicinity when we're there.
Yeah. Knowing full well
what this is going to turn into.
Yeah.
So this said individual was staying the night there at my uncle's house, and so were we. So it turned into, I don't know, probably about a 6-hour 6-hour roast of just lighting her on fucking fire.
Yeah.
And to the point where my Uncle Larry got involved, it just was it's just totally just, yeah. I kind of feel bad a little bit, but not really.
I don't really.
Yeah, it was pretty vicious. But that was another incident where Mike got in trouble with Carrie.
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to go home.
I was supposed to go home, but I was roasting somebody. And she wanted to leave. I really wasn't in trouble.
A little bit.
But it was a little bit, but it really wasn't, that much trouble.
It wasn't as much trouble as the tequila tower.
Yeah, no, it was very light compared to that. She wanted to leave and go to bed, and I'm like, well, I'm here, with my family. I'm not here all the time, so she's like, well, I'm leaving, and then she ended up leaving, and the roast continued.
it got way worse. We're like, oh, now we don't have to behave at all. Fuck it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Let's see how much it's gonna take for her to start crying.
That's right. And then and sometimes when this happens, especially when it's directed at one individual, sometimes other people come into the crosshairs, like the uncle with the puto pin.
What?
He was wearing a hat and he had this little Russian pin. And I asked him, "Oh, is that a Putin pin?" He's like, "You call me a puto?" And I'm like, well, maybe.
Yeah.
Now that you ask.
Yeah.
It's not a Putin pin, it's a puto pin.
So when these incidents start up, everybody's fair game. And if there's a target happening, if you're the individual that's taking the brunt of the abuse, you better hope to God somebody fucking says something stupid so that we direct the fire at them. And so that leads me to the stories and conversations revolving our Uncle Leo. Our Uncle Leo passed away very recently, and
he was a good guy.
Going to be dearly missed, and he absolutely enjoyed being a part of that chaos. And would instigate it and feed into it and have his own crazy ass stories. One of the stories that I'll touch on, I don't know why, but we were over at his house. I think it was because he wanted me to try to fix his computer. Right?
That's exactly what it was.
So, and
then we started drinking.
Yeah, then they started drinking, and then there was marijuana involved, and I'm at his computer just trying to function. I'm trying to make sense of this mess that he's got on his computer, while Mike and my Uncle Leo are outside trimming trees in the middle of the night.
It wasn't my idea to trim the trees. He thought it was a great idea. He said, "Hey, let's trim these trees."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, fuck that, man." I'm like, "It's dark. You can't even see what you're doing."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, it'll be fine." And he's like, "I got a ladder." And he brings out this ladder, and the ladder is literally 4 sticks tied up like a teepee, and the steps are barbed wire.
Yeah. It is so rickety. It looks like some shit somebody made in a third world country.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, the Home Depot's down the street. You could have gotten a real one. I don't know why'd you build this?
So I'm in the house, and the computer's sitting directly in front of me, and there's a window right behind this computer monitor. And out that window is this said tree that they're trimming. So I've got the perfect view to watch this chaos ensue of them trying to climb up this very dangerous ladder and balance themselves as they're cutting this tree. And I don't remember if it was you or him that fell off that shitty ladder.
It was him. And I told him, you're going to get hurt, and I don't want to be responsible for it. You're old. You're gonna. He would get mad and say, "I'm gonna tell your dad," and I'm like, "Please do." Please do. Then he felt, and then he decided it was not a good idea to trim this tree.
Yeah. So yeah, that was one incident. Then there was another incident involving a Rottweiler and a basketball game. and a doctor's visit.
Yeah.
So we go over to his house again. Mike's father's in town, and it's kind of a little small, not the entire family was together, but a few of us. We're all over at his house, and they were doing something in the backyard, so we're back there just hanging out and talking, and my Uncle Leo proceeds to tell us about his doctor visit in Mexico and how he scratched his eye and had to go to the doctor for them to try to see what's going on, the severity of it, and fix it. And said doctor told him to drop his pants. So we're all
at that point we didn't know which eye Leo had actually scratched.
Yeah. So we're just listening to this story, and he's telling us it just all casual, like it's no big deal. And he tells the doctor that's not the right eye. It's not down there. It's up here. So while he's telling us this story, and we're just dying laughing, Mike's dad is getting sexually molested by the Rottweiler.
That's right. And as Leo sees that, he says, "Hey, let's go play basket in the back." And we said, "Well, the Rottweiler already started on Dad."
So my uncle, Mike's father, my Uncle Philip, he trips going up the stairs onto the back porch, and the dog just grabs him from behind. Starts trying to act like this is a prison moment.
Yeah.
And that just immediately incited this conversation about playing basketball behind the house, which was portrayed as playing basket in the back.
Yeah.
So after we clarified what the situation was, we were like, "Oh, fine, let's go play basketball." And then we get over to this basketball court, and we're choosing teams.
Yeah.
And I'll let you say this so I don't get fucking blamed for it. How did that team picking play out?
Well, we just kind of chose whose team we were going to be on, and this one family member was like, I want to be on your team."
Who
and Leo, without hesitation, says, "No, you're too skanky." I don't know if she was going to get something on the ball, or if she was trying to play the same game of basket in the back as the Rottweiler.
So this family member that he said that to was very close in relation to him.
Yeah.
So I know that hurt her feelings. And then it didn't help that Mike and I are just in fucking tears. We're in tears laughing about this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was horrible.
It totally cost us the game because how can you concentrate after something like that?
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah. So this relative that was called Skanky, at the time, we had a recording studio in the house up there in Beaverton, Oregon, this suburb of Portland. She tells us she's going to come over with some friends. And I was like, that's all fine and dandy as long as they're women.
Yeah. That was the only stipulation.
And she's like, what do you mean?
Yeah. How come? Why do they have to be women? It's like, well, obviously we don't want, bringing men over to the house. What the fuck is the matter with you?
Yeah, so I don't know if she knows this, but she's going to find out if she happens to listen to this.
Yeah.
Well, she pulled up into the driveway, and we peeked out the window and saw two guys with her, and we locked the doors and turned off the lights. And went inside the sound booth and fucking hid for about a half hour.
She's knocking on the door, nobody's answering.
Looking through the windows.
Looking through the windows.
And I'm like, well, we said not to bring guys over to our house.
You did.
And you broke the rules. So that's
you didn't listen.
That's the way it went down.
The way it went down. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, my Uncle Leo was an awesome individual. There was a family get together for like a second wedding thing for one of my cousins in Pennsylvania that he attended. And Mike wasn't at this particular event, but it didn't matter if Mike was there or not because Leo was fair game to fucking light some people on fire. As long as one of us was there, and I'm sure he did it with other people as well because it was, like I said, it was a good time. So we're sitting there, and he's telling us all these stories, because he was in Vietnam and he just went to Vietnam to go visit for the first time since he was in the war. And, in episode 2 of our podcast, I kind of mentioned one of those stories about how he was out there. And he's telling the story about somebody on a moped grabbing my other uncle's dick while they were out there.
I don't know how that happens.
I don't know how it happens either.
When he was telling me the story about it, I was just trying to picture the whole scenario, and I'm like, well, did he knock you over?
Yeah. I still to this day don't really understand how this played out.
I've heard of a drive-by shooting and a drive-by egging, but never a drive-by dick grabbing.
Yeah, so, that kind of started the conversation into a downward spiral, and then it proceeded to turn into a complete thrashing of every family member in that place. Until he was so intoxicated that we had to call it a night. But yeah, I miss him greatly, and that is the funnest moments I've had ever.
Yeah.
Is to be involved in that kind of activity.
Absolutely. So, and he, one of the best things about him was that he enjoyed that kind of activity and encouraged it
immensely.
And never kicked us out once.
And never kicked us out. He didn't invite us over with the intention of kicking us out.
Yeah.
And there was an incident where he lied directly to our face about coming to visit us.
Yeah.
He said that he stopped by our house and we weren't there. And I'm like, we were there the whole time.
We were there the whole time.
That
wasn't the first time.
Yeah.
Because when he
lied about that for years.
He also did the same type of lie. Except for this time he left a note.
Yeah.
In the keyhole.
Yeah. This must have been a really small note.
A really small note.
Yeah, and for years he didn't want to admit that he was lying about that. I was like, you don't even know what our address is. How the fuck did you come visit us?
Where do we live?
Yeah. And
we live down there. That's what
I'd say it took him about 10 years to own up to that he was lying.
Yeah. He finally confessed.
Yeah. But yeah,
when I asked him about the note, I'm like, the gap in between the floor and the door is, probably about a good, quarter of an inch. A piece of paper could fit in there much easier than
a small children's book.
It really doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Just sit there and lie.
But,
yeah. It was definitely a good time. He's going to be dearly missed. And yeah.
Absolutely.
I miss you too, man. I
miss you.
being able to get kicked out of places and stirring up shit.
Well, at some point when the government lets us leave our house.
Yeah, maybe you can come visit and we'll have that fucking podcast.
Yeah.
You have to bring some of those things that they sell legally in California over here.
Well, it's legal to buy it here, but I think it's illegal to transport it.
Nobody asked you any questions.
But where there's a will, there's a way.
Look, it's just candy. Those are the ones I want.
That candy.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, well, we were in Oregon. I had some of that candy.
Oh, really?
That didn't turn out well.
I bet not.
That didn't turn out well at all. Have you messed around with those gummy bears or gummy candies?
Yeah, they give you a gradual effect.
Gradual my ass. It just took a long time to kick in.
That's what I mean.
You ate the whole bottle.
Hey, keep it down. So
that makes it worse.
Because this is also legal in Oregon, I have one of my little cousins. I was like, I don't know how to do this thing. I'm not going to just show up to one of these dispensaries and looking like I don't belong there.
Yeah, like you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
So I gave her $20 and sent her to the dispensary to go get some gummies. I think there was like 6 in it, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. There was a bunch of them in there. And she brings it back and it's in a medicine bottle. I'm like, well, what the fuck is this? And it's got the label on it. Looks just like a prescription medicine bottle, and except for not clear. What the fuck it says? Yeah. It just said something milligrams, and I'm like, well, is that per serving? Is that a half a bear? Is that the whole bear? Is it the whole bottle? I'm not sure. I don't remember how many milligrams it was. So I watch Joey Diaz's podcast, and he likes to give people 2,000 milligram gummy stars and just let them fucking eat them and sink their fucking
good luck, huh?
Yeah. Which, if you guys don't know, that's enough to put somebody in the hospital.
Yeah, that's a lot. You got to really be prepared for something like that.
Yeah, so I was trying to be smart about this gummy situation because these weren't nowhere near to that level, but I've never had them before. So I eat half of one. I give Angela half of one. I give my dad half of one and somebody else another half. So 2 of them are out of the container. About 45 minutes later, I'm like, well, nothing's happening. Maybe I should eat another one. So I ate one, and I think I gave my dad one more.
No.
No?
No.
Well,
you ate the whole thing by yourself.
So I can
only imagine.
Hold on. I ate another one, just one. I was like, well, let's see if it gives it a little bit of a boost. And,
Don't forget to add you were drinking on top of all this.
A little bit of drinking, a few shots. And, about another half hour later, I'm like, still nothing. So I just ate the rest of them.
That's asking for trouble.
No, it wasn't asking for trouble. It turned into a fucking nightmare. So we're out on the front yard talking with family members when this kicks in like a freight train. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm talking to myself in my head. I'm just full-blown conversations trying to keep my shit together. And I'm like, don't start panicking. I'm literally telling myself that in my head. Calm the fuck down. Stop fucking freaking out. You wanted it.
This is what you asked for?
Yeah. So we're sitting there. Angela, I don't know what the fuck she's got going on, but she's over there encouraging my nephews to throw those little poppers. You throw on the ground and they pop. She's encouraging them to throw poppers at each other.
Well, they're introverted. They needed to fight.
Yeah, she's trying to get them to fight in the front yard.
It worked really good.
Next thing I know, one of them has a handful of those poppers and hits the other one in the back of the neck. And I'm in no condition to be seeing this. And then, I'm trying to make sense of, is this really happening? And out of the corner of my eye, I see a car pull up to one of the cars. They're all lined up on the street. He pulls up to one of the cars. They get really close to it. He opens up the door and does something. They slam the door and drive off real quick. And I'm looking over there and I'm like,
The fuck is that?
exactly.
Yeah.
And then the second thought in my head was, did that just really happen? What was that? So I start looking around the yard at everybody else to try to see if they just saw it.
Did you guys see what I just said?
And a close friend of the family was like, did they just do something to that car? And I'm like, yeah. I was wondering if you guys saw that. So by the time I realized that something had happened, they were all down the block and long gone. We couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But I was in no condition to determine whether or not it really happened or not. And then next thing you know it, they're like, okay, well, we got to leave because I think we had our plane to catch in the morning.
Yeah.
No, we were just
driving.
leaving. We were just leaving in the morning because we had a set time point when we had to be home, and we had to drive all the way from Portland, Oregon, to, Syracuse, New York. And yeah, so we had to leave real early in the morning, and I'm like, fuck, this is not going well. My dad is not doing well because he had been doing a lot of drinking. I can't get this shit out of my system. I'm like, I'm going to have to drive back to my brother's house like this. This is not fucking safe. Doesn't seem like a good idea at all.
Doesn't seem safe. You can't see the fucking signs because of the bushes.
all the signs are in the fucking trees. It's 4th of July, so there's fucking people in the street all over the place, and it just wasn't going well. So I had to kind of stick around as long as I could and then make this drive back to my brother's house. And yeah, luckily I kind of sober up when things are not going well.
That's right. You scared yourself into sobering up.
Yeah, it was kind of like the incident with the helicopter.
Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up back at my brother's house and everything was fine after that. But yeah, that was my first encounter, my only encounter with gummies, and I wanted to give it a second shot without any liquor involved and see what the repercussions were.
Well, we'll have to see if we can make that happen
during a podcast and see how see how well it goes.
You'll have to share some with Angela this time.
A lot more, huh?
They were disgusting.
Yeah, they did. They taste like you're just chewing on a bud of weed. It was so disgusting.
Well, you don't eat them because they taste delicious.
Yeah. I was kind of under the impression that it would be kind of masked a little bit. Fuck no.
No.
That was like you just put a bag of weed in your mouth. It was so gross. Luckily, they weren't real big, so you could just swallow them down. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Well, you're supposed to, with gummies and candies and stuff like that, you're supposed to, let it absorb. And then you feel that you're not supposed to think it's a fucking snack during a movie. Just eat them all at one time.
Look, nobody has time for that shit.
You got to do it quick.
When you go to the bar, I'm the guy that's asking for a shot or some hard alcohol because I don't have time for fucking beer or playing games. We need to get to a certain level of unproductiveness.
Get straight to the point.
As fast as possible.
We're gonna do it right now.
Yeah. We don't have to go above that level, preferably, but we need to get to that level of chaos.
Yeah. Sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather than later, because it's a good time. At least for myself and you.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe
everyone
not,
else.
Maybe not anybody else.
Everyone else beware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it, man. Do you want people to follow you, send you nasty pictures?
Not really.
Not really?
I don't want any pictures. I don't want any. Well, tits are good.
So
as long as they're female tits.
Okay,
please.
well,
I don't
I'll try.
want anything to be kind of misconstrued here into thinking that any tit is fine.
It's just got to be
because-
nice ones.
Yeah.
Well, define what nice ones are.
Well, they got to be, you know.
No, I don't.
Don't send me ugly titties. I don't want to see any sandbags or anything like that.
Sandbags.
Are you being racial over there?
That's what it sounds like to me, huh? Discriminatory behavior. Fucking disgusting.
Look how racist she is.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you immediately start talking about Arab people. He's talking about titties.
He could have been talking about those kind of titties. For
What
all
kind
I
of
know.
titties?
What kind of titties are those?
Are you getting racist again?
I'm not. No.
That sounds like it.
No.
That sounds very racist, Angela.
Are you being anti-Semitic?
No.
Do you have some sort of issue with the Muslim people?
Not at all.
Well, then why are you referring to their titties as sandbags?
I didn't. Mike did. He's prejudiced over certain kinds. I think they're all fine.
This is... I apologize, people. I know I'm married to her, but she's really not that racist. It's only at times.
It's only at times.
Please don't report us.
Apparently, it's sporadic racism.
Yeah, it is.
Comes out of nowhere.
It is. It's fucking disgusting. I don't support that kind of behavior.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't know she's being racist, but you know. I mean, I've had that problem.
Of being racist?
Yes. Yes, he has a lot.
Yeah, I heard about your ching ching joke.
Oh, that wasn't a joke. That was just his white skin reverberating hate towards one of our Asian friends.
I didn't know it was racist until after the fact.
See?
I was trying to refer to her being broke.
It's in his blood. So we're not going to leave just yet because we have to elaborate on this story. So there was a friend of ours. We won't mention her name, but if she's probably not watching this.
Probably not.
She was a friend of my other cousin Roni's, and she was over at the house. And why an Asian girl would walk around with a shirt that said bling bling on it, I don't know. But she decided to come over our house wearing one of those shirts. And Mike's first reaction to it is, bling bling, you mean ching ching? And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I was referring to about, her being poor and that she probably only has change in her pocket. Totally not what it was. Totally not how it was supposed to come out, but apparently. Like Angela.
Like Angela. The white supremacist just fell out of his mouth.
It just kind of came out. Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. So that was one of the incidents. I know there's been a lot more.
What? But
then there was another incident. Some of my family members are of the darker complexion.
Yes.
And Mike, being of the very white complexion, should not be saying some of the things that he says on accident. So while we had a recording studio, a lot of the music that was being produced in there was hip hop. And my cousin, who is of the darker complexion, happened to be there with a lot of his darker complexion friends. And Mike is off in the kitchen ranting and raving about something. I don't know what it was, but he was pissed off about something, calling them cotton pickers.
I was mad because no one would wash their dishes or clean up their fucking mess. I was like, and
He wasn't necessarily calling them cotton pickers like in the way of being racist.
No.
He just happened to be like, fucking cotton picking blah 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 blah. And I'm like, hey asshole. The fuck is you doing?
Yeah.
He's like, what? Just like he does right now. Yeah. What's going on? That right there. That was pretty much his reaction. And I was like, our fucking house has a bunch of darker complected people in here. We'll just say it, black people in here. And you're over here fucking screaming at the top of your lungs about cotton picker, this and that. And I was like, you want to fucking reel it back a little bit? And he's like, oh.
I didn't know.
He didn't know. He didn't know. Like, he didn't know that woman was a woman on the bus.
I did not know that woman was a woman on the bus until the bus driver said something. If he wouldn't have said something, I would never have known.
He didn't say it. I said it to you when we got off the bus.
Oh, well. That's her fault. Going around looking like a man.
So, yeah, he has a tendency, just like Angela, to say some very racist shit without realizing they're being that way.
Yeah.
But it's fun, so whatever. I say it on purpose.
Yeah.
Those
I
are,
say it on accident.
that's one of the things that I was not allowed to say because I don't want to get this channel kicked off of YouTube. But I fucking want to so bad.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Whatever.
Don't do it.
Just remember, it's Steve Kerr's son. Remember?
Oh, don't do that. We're not going to bring that up because that enough. On top of it, it was on another podcast. I don't want to steal their content, but if you guys are curious on what we're talking about, just pull up Steve Kerr on Wikipedia and look at what his sons are named and read the name fully, first and last, together. And you'll know what I'm talking about. So anyway, yeah, let's wrap this up. Thanks, Mike, for doing this.
Good time, absolutely. Maybe one day we can do it in person and.
Yeah, get rid of some of the Skype buffer and stuff like that. So for those of you guys who are watching, I know that some of the video and stuff didn't come through super clear because of the buffering with the internet speeds and whatnot, but all the audio did. So that's all that matters. And yep, that's my cousin and best friend, and we misbehave. That's about it.
What happens?
And that's my
anyway,
wife.
It was good. Thanks for allowing me to do this.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for doing it. So, love you, man. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Oh, wait a minute. I keep forgetting to say this. Not only can you guys watch us on Facebook and YouTube, but the audio versions are available on Instagram, Google Podcasts, not Instagram, excuse me, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Basically, do your search on your podcasting platforms and for 63 Podcasts, and you'll find us. So, thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment, like if you're on YouTube, and like and follow us on Facebook if that's where you watch these things. And yeah, talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.